All right, it is a basketball scary Alvarez skull session just in time for the basketball season. That worked out nicely. Welcome to Scary Alvarez podcast, skull session. Drop these every so often when I got some thoughts on my mind. Don't need a guest for them, although sometimes it's helpful to have one. But I'm going to talk Wisconsin basketball tonight. We a couple evenings ago against Arkansas State got a tantalizing taste of what could be with this team. Where the Badgers went out and set a whole center scoring record. I know everyone had that on their bingo card with 105 points. Pretty balanced scoring effort from the team. A lot of playing time across the board for a lot of kids. It was good to see. And, they look crisp. I know that the message board naysayers, the message board negative Nellies, were quick to point out that the defense didn't look spectacular. But you know, it wasn't great, but the offense was so much better than the defense was bad that I wasn't concerned at all. It was nice to see the team come out and score. And as I noted, a lot of the scoring in the first half, especially in the first half, was done without the aid of a 3-point shot. And I understand some of that was size related. They were playing a relatively short team, but it's good to see. So anyway, I'm going to put that behind us. We have Tennessee looming. The number 9 Tennessee Volunteers going to be playing Wisconsin in the Kohl Center on Friday night. Uh, One of the early slate of very tough games. Number 12 Arizona, hosting number 5 Marquette, a never easy road match at Virginia, who's just on the cusp of the top 25. That one will probably be 39-36. And tough game at Providence. So Wisconsin has I dare say, a Michigan State-like uh, preseason or early season schedule. And Big Ten starts off pretty reasonably. We can get into that later as far as the schedule there, but some real stiff tests for the Badgers. So let me go through why I think Wisconsin is going to be good in 2023-24. First of all, experience. Now I'm gonna dispatch with the argument that, well, you have almost everybody back from last year, and they weren't that good last year. Ergo, they're not going to be good this year. If you say that to me, it shows me one thing: you don't understand how college sports works. Okay, to be dismissive on that level when several of the players last year didn't have a ton of experience. So you're telling me that Connor Rosijan, who comes in as a very quality six man, has some defensive deficiencies here and there, but showed out really, really well as a freshman. Oh, he can't possibly improve as a sophomore. See what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that you got to think through the stuff you say before you say it on a message board. Okay, you got to think through the stuff you're going to say. You can make an argument with Tyler Wall, the guy's entering, seems like his 25th year in the program. We know what he is. We know his upside. He had a little bit of a backslide last season. I think he'll be back to what he was as a junior this year. Really solid player, solid rebounder, uh, team leader in many ways. He is what he is. Okay, I can live. I can live with you saying that Tyler Wall is going to be safe. But Chucky Hepburn, another example. Kid had to take a ton of extra responsibility, especially offensively, on his back last year. Do things that he wouldn't have normally had to do in the flow of the offense, and frankly did not have to do the year previous when Wisconsin was a Big Ten champion with Johnny Davis on the team. Now, for reasons I'm going to get into, Chucky Hepburn, although he's going to remain a good shooter and a good scorer, can go back into the little more of a point guard playmaking kind of position that he is meant for. So yeah, Chucky Hepburn is going to have a better season this year as a junior than he had last year as a sophomore. I believe that. I believe that is there's a lot of logic behind anyone who thinks that. A guy like Carter Gilmore, who a lot of people took for granted last year, gave a lot of quality minutes on the defensive end. Yes, he has offensive liabilities, certainly, but there is no reason to believe that a player like Carter Gilmore, who doesn't have a ton of experience, can, with hard work and strengthening in the offseason, make a jump. Doesn't have to be a big jump, but he's going to make a jump. Carter Gilmore is going to be a better player this season than he was last season. Okay, there's another one. So So well, I'm going to go into my reasons, but I just wanted to really quick at the outset just kind of throw that to the side. You can't say they weren't good last year. They got almost everyone back. They can't be good this year. That's a preposterous statement. You're dumb if you think that. Sorry. So anyway, here are my four main reasons they're going to be good, and I alluded to that a second ago. Experience. Okay, this is a deep and experienced team. Matt Klesmit, experienced. Connor Sejan into his second year. Stephen Crowell, incredibly experienced. Wall, as I just mentioned a few moments ago, very experienced. Tucky Hepburn entering his third year as a starting point guard. Okay. AJ Storr, all Big East freshman team last season, comes in as a transfer. Experienced. Carter Gilmore, as I just mentioned, experienced. And you got some kids like Alex Silver and Lindsay, who they may not play a ton of minutes this year, but they have more experience than they did previously. So there is absolutely no question that this is a more experienced Wisconsin Badgers team, and that usually bodes well. Secondly, development. Very, very important development. Connor Sejan, I mentioned at the outset, development. He's going to be a better player this season, as often happens for shooter wings between freshman and sophomore year. He's just going to be better. He's going to develop in the system. He's going to be, the system is going to show its face as to how it can do things. Same with Gilmore, development. These players are going to be better than they were the previous year. Okay, Max Klesmit is a sort of a sleeper for me for a big jump kid. Okay, he may not have a big jump in literal terms as far as his jumping ability, but Klesmit, he's just such a dedicated defender and has a still improving offensive game. It would not surprise me one bit if Max Klesmit made a significant jump in his ability this year and he shows up for the Badgers. I love it. Development, development. Uh, Storr is another great example. As I mentioned, he's a kid who comes in highly regarded four-star recruit who's on the All Big East freshman team and Bahamas national team, playing some stuff this summer, looking great, dropping I think 21 against Kansas. Um, there's no reason to think AJ Storr is not going to take a major jump. Now, is it going to be a Johnny Davis like jump between freshman and sophomore year? Well, probably not. But I will say this: he was a better freshman at St. John's than Johnny Davis was a freshman at Wisconsin. So he doesn't have nearly as far to rise to get to that high level that Johnny Davis showed back in 21-22. He's not Johnny Davis. They're different players. They have some similarities, some overlap, but expecting him to come in and be a National Player of the Year candidate is not realistic. But this is a really quality player with a tremendous amount of upside. I think he's going to show out for this year for the Badgers. This is an NBA. This is a kid has NBA potential. AJ Storr. Third, and I alluded to this in the context of Tucky Hepburn playing roles. This is going to be a team where guys can do a lot of things, but guys, if they do the thing they're supposed to do, the thing they're good at, the thing that they're wired for, it's going to be even better. So Hepburn not having to be the shot clock ticking out, game clock ticking down, 3-point hero ball scorer that he had to be last year because we just didn't have that many offensive weapons, or at least we didn't have weapons that were cranking. That's going to be a huge development to let Chucky Hepburn be a sweet shooting point guard. Wow. I think he's going to be the first person that's going to be like, thank you. Sounds great. And, you have, and I haven't mentioned their names yet, two guys. One is John Blackwell, and the other was Nolan Winter, freshman, true freshman. Nobody was sure whether those guys were going to be impact players. If not, they might have redshirted this year. And by all accounts, both Blackwell and Winter are going to have roles on this team. Okay. Nolan Winter as a big off the bench to spell Big Steve, if he gets into foul trouble or he's not effective. Wow, that seems pretty like a pretty good thing, right? As much as I love Gilmore, he doesn't have to be a backup center. Blackwell, energy guy. I keep seeing Josh Gosser comparisons, and that's a compliment to both players. But coming in as a freshman, this kid is going to get meaningful minutes right away, and he's going to have that role of an energy guy off the bench. He can do stuff for you. He can pull down rebounds. He can do a little bit of shooting. I think he's an underrated playmaker and an underrated defender. He's going to be great. So we got experience, development, uh, people being able to play their roles without being who they being something they don't want to be or shouldn't have to be. And then finally for Greg Gard. Okay, he's the favorite punching bag for so many people in this fan base. And yeah, you know what? He's made some mistakes. He wasn't at his best last season, but he let recruiting get a little bit ahead of him in a couple of classes. But well, he's got. I think with this year's team, he's got this team on a real good track with a real nice class. Both uh, Freitag and the big from Minnesota signed today. I think that is just a real underrated class coming in. Robeson, his name is just a, he's not a big, he's probably a 3-4, but he has that look, that Minnesota look. A couple Minnesota kids. Yes, we missed out on Khan and McAndrew and the kid who's going to Purdue. Eh, it's okay. It's a really solid two-man class, and we'll take care of things in the future. So I think this is going to be a real good season for Greg Gard. I think he has his team locked and loaded. And the same people who are calling for Gard to be fired, I have to believe many of them are going to be cheering Greg Gard on when he has his team competing for a Big Ten title this spring. And as I've called for in my Bucky's fifth quarter article, best case, worst case, most likely case scenarios, my best case has them going to the Elite Eight, and my most likely case scenario has them in the Sweet 16. I think this is the year they're going to break that Sweet 16 slide that began in 2017. Badgers are going to be back in the Sweet 16. So, anyway, welcome your comments, unless they're completely ridiculous. I'm just kidding. Of course, that's fine too. Just don't be rude and don't be mean. I can take it, but you look dumb. So anyway, very excited for this version of the Wisconsin Badgers to get on the floor, and I'd be remiss if I didn't uh, say a word about Gus Bus. I know there's some things floating around right now about what happened, things he may or may not have done regarding underage drinking and things. Here's my position on that. Okay, he's a 19-year-old. People make mistakes. We don't know all the facts of what's going on with Gus, and I give him my support. From my all accounts, is getting things right that they have to be, and I wouldn't be surprised a bit if he came back this season and played some meaningful minutes. If not this season, then next season. He's going to be a great player for Wisconsin. He still is committed in every way to being a Badger, a team he grew up loving. So, anyway, just thinking about Gus and maybe some of the mean things people want to say. You can maybe hold off on that because this is a 19-year-old kid learning in life, and kids make mistakes. Think about you when you're 19. There was someone I was going back and forth with on Twitter about underage drinking. And look, man, I understand it's not great. Maybe you want student athletes to be perfect and not, but the average 19-year-old student athlete, the average 19-year-old non-student athlete at the University of Wisconsin are drinking and hanging around bars. Okay, so let's not clutch our pearls here and pretend that a 19-year-old's never got an underage drinking ticket. Okay, I'm just saying don't be holier now with this. That's not necessary. It doesn't help me. Anyway, on Wisconsin, let's take down those Tennessee Volunteers, hoping to volunteer to get their ass beat by Wisconsin on Friday. Hopefully, Connor Sejan will be back in the mix. Hope he heals up. And thanks for tuning in on Wisconsin.